Hi there, this is Marlene Dinarius here from Latinum, and you can find Latinum at Patreon, where I've been doing Latin stuff since 2006. Not at Patreon, but online. Anyway, we are continuing on with Riddle and Arnold's copious and critical English to Latin dictionary. This really amazing dictionary, written at the end of the 1700s and published in the early 1800s, is from English to Latin. And of course it uses the English of that time period, so sometimes it requires some interpretation. We are looking at the word favorite. We're continuing with this. It's quite a long entry, so that gives you an indication of how important this concept was in Roman culture and civilization. So, to be in great favor with anybody. Aliquius gratia florere, multum gratia valere apud aliquem. With the notion that one does or could exercise a certain influence over that person. To bestow one's favor on anybody. Benevolentiam aliqui praestare. That's regarding the sentiment or good feeling. Or aliqui favere, by promoting that person's opinions or views. To obtain anybody's favor. Se in gratiam ponere apud aliquem. Gratiam aliquius sibi colligere or conciliare, but as said here, not acquirere. In gratiam et favorem aliquius venire, or in gratiam aliquius venire. So we have the two options. In gratiam aliquius venire, in gratiam et favorem aliquius venire. Gratiam apud aliquem inire, or gratiam aliquo inire. To endeavor to obtain anybody's favor, to curry favor with anybody. Aliquem colere, for example, by paying court to that person, which means you bring them presents and so on and so forth. Se venditare aliqui, by extolling one's own merits or by showing much attention to that person. In aliquius familiaritatem se insinuare, to get yourself, to insinuate yourself into someone's favor, we would say, taking the expression directly from the Latin idiom. To aim at obtaining anybody's favor. Aliquius gratiam quaerere, or aliquius gratiam sequi. In aliqui ambitiosum esse. To retain anybody's favor, aliquius gratiam retinere, or aliquius benevolentiam retinere, or aliquius studium ac favorem retinere. And so we'll stop there, and I would like to remind you that my material is available at Latinum at Patreon. And let's see if I can get this to work. If I turn this off. There it is. Okay, so Latinum Institute over at Patreon. That's the old Patreon logo, because as you know, I like old things, old Latin, old logos. So, well, it's a combination actually. The new one is up there like some kind of misshapen blob, an artist's palette. So, at Patreon you will find all my Latin audio courses and resources, the Adler Latin audio course and so on and so forth. Many hours of different kinds of material to help you learn the language. And also something new, a new Latin reading course, which now has over 70 lessons. And this is aimed at sort of constant exposure. So it works using a system developed in the 18th century. Surprise, surprise, it's me doing it after all. And so this is my predilection for all the things. But it's also combined with new techniques. So what we do is we start off with what's called a construed text, which is where the Latin is presented with the English interspersed. So you read it with the translation simultaneously. And this is part A. And then part B, the Latin and English are separated by full sentences. And then part C, the Latin only. Now, because of the requirement to move the syntax slightly to fit in the English translation, there is, as the course progresses from about lesson 70 onwards, a second part C, where we present the Latin in a more idiomatic way. It's all grammatically correct in all of the lessons prior, but it's a bit hard going for a beginner, I think, to jump into some of the idiosyncrasies of the way the Romans presented their syntax. So we move that to a bit later on in the course. And then the same thing applies to all of the subsequent. The lessons also have stories and dialogues and little plays and all kinds of other little bits and pieces that are interesting. Each lesson focused on one particular word. And I'm using a word frequency table as my guiding principle for this series of lessons. And the reason I can do that is because I'm using the construed text, which enables exposure to more complex grammatical structures right from the beginning. And this is necessary because some of the more frequent words in Latin presuppose these complex grammatical structures, such as oratio obliqua, which was an integral part of the way the Romans spoke. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you are interested in this method, I also have it for French, and that's available at a different Patreon. That Patreon is called Latinum Languages, and you will find there my French to English course. So if you are a French speaker and you want to learn English, or you want to improve your English, then you may find that this reading course that I've developed is useful to improve your English reading skills. So that's it from me. Bye.